Let's now bring in Mansour Shuman, who's a Palestinian journalist and humanitarian worker who lived in Gaza until March of last year. Thank you, Mansour, for being with us here on Al Jazeera. It feels painful, even cruel, to remind people in Gaza that today is Eid when their suffering is uninterrupted.
Correct. I was speaking earlier with family members and friends back in Gaza, and they will continue to fast because there isn't food in Gaza. They will, I mean, normally in Gaza, people's homes and doors are open, families would visit, there would be celebrations, people would plan their weddings very shortly thereafter. But right now in Gaza, the Eid prayers and the prayers for those that have been killed earlier today or yesterday are combined together. Right now in Gaza, instead of listening to the takbirat, Allahu Akbar, God is greatest, in the masajid, which are not around in Gaza anymore, people are listening to the shelling of the tanks and the airstrikes around them all the time. Instead of people having dates and having different cultural foods and drinks and visiting each other, right now people are visiting each other and mourning for the dead. Yeah. So yes, you are right. People there, they do not feel Eid. For them, they will continue to mourn, and it's a big shame. Like they had a lot of. You know, for 17 months, they were expecting more from the world at large, but I think the world is letting them down. However, the Palestinians on the ground, as the world is seeing, continue to remain steadfast. Yeah. They won't go back to what happened to them in 1948 and 1967, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to continue to remain steadfast on their land and continue to resist in all ways.
The steadfastness that you mentioned and this resilience, I think it's important that we just focus on that for a moment, because despite, you know, this grief and loss that people are experiencing, it seems that Palestinians in Gaza are still finding ways to express their faith and resilience on this day, as we saw in the pictures earlier.
Yes, correct. So from a religious perspective, the Palestinians on the ground in Gaza will continue to do the Eid prayers, as you've seen from the early mornings. Wherever possible, the brothers and sisters, the mothers, the fathers, the grandparents, the children will visit each other and make sure that the social bonding, the social structure that has been historically strong in Gaza continues to be uplifted, continues to be strong. There's a very great respect for elderly in Gaza as well. So the elderly lead these visitations. They ensure that if there are any issues or quarrels between members of family, they get resolved during Eid.
What about the children? I mean, because Eid is a joyful moment for children. That's when they get sweets, that's when they get the cash.
Yes, correct.
But for the children of Gaza, this is not happening.
Unfortunately, there's an issue of liquidity in Gaza. For weeks now, no new currency has come in. It's the same currency that gets circulated all around, and a lot of it has worn out. Right. Yes, unfortunately, the children of this generation will not experience the idea and the celebrations that their older siblings has experienced for many years. And yes.
I wanted to ask you, Mansour, about Palestinians in the West Bank, because they're also under occupation and facing Israeli attacks. How is their experience of Eid different from those Palestinians in Gaza? I mean, do you get a sense that this arrival of Eid deepens the sense of division and helplessness of Palestinians, whether in Gaza or in the occupied West Bank?
Yeah. The occupied West Bank right now, there's almost a media blackout on what's happening there. Al-Jazeera was banned. Any journalist that really tries to report on what's happening on the ground gets shut down, gets administratively jailed. You have 1,000 checkpoints in the West Bank and Jerusalem, right? People live in little ghettos right now in different cities and towns and refugee camps in the West Bank and Jerusalem. Despite Israel, as a result of the ceasefire, releasing hundreds of Palestinian prisoners, they've in return imprisoned hundreds more administratively and without charges. Right now, in many places, the Israelis are conducting raids on different households. They do not, thank you for asking about the West Bank, because more people, more TV stations need to talk about what is happening there. And yes, there is a sense of solidarity between the West Bank and Gaza. However, I am fearful that due to the media blackout, not a lot of focus is put on the suffering of the people there. And however, the Palestinian resiliency and the Palestinian spirit continues to live on, together with people all around the world that continue to support them with all ways possible.
Mansour, thank you so much. Thank you for talking to us about this. Mansour Schuman, a Palestinian journalist and humanitarian worker, joining us on Al Jazeera. And Eid Mubarak to you. Thank you so much. Now,